What up, everybody, and welcome to Baz on Blades. My name is Baz, and I talk about blades. Today's featured blade, the Bestech Swordfish. The Swordfish is part of Bestech's quote-unquote budget line. These knives feature G10 handle scales and D2 for the blade steel. In my opinion, the Swordfish is the pinnacle of the Bestech G10 D2 line. It is a beautiful knife, very high level of fit and finish, wonderful design. All right, let's set this down. We're going to take a look at the packaging real quick. It is the typical Bestech box. It is just a simple box. There's no tray or anything on the inside. It's just a plastic baggie that the knife will come in. The box has sort of a waxy, satiny feel to it. It does feature some foil printing and some color on it. On one end of the box, you have the model number BG03C, C for orange. Okay. And the other end, you have the name of the model, Swordfish, D2 for your blade steel, satin for your finish. In Bestech's budget line, their G10 line, what you are paying for is the quality of the knife and not the quality of the packaging. It's a box, the knife goes in it, and it protects it until you get it. So let's set this here nice and pretty, and we will go over the specs real quick. This is a long, narrow profile knife. You are looking at a 3.9-inch blade length. That's 10 centimeters. Blade stock thickness, 131 thousandths or 3.3 millimeters. The blade width, 974 thousandths of an inch or 24.75 millimeters. The handle length, 5 inches or 12.5 centimeters. Handle thickness, 576 thousandths of an inch or 14.6 millimeters. The handle width at the widest part at the pivot, 1.05 inches or 26.84 millimeters. The closed width, and again I measured that at the pivot and included the flipper tab, and that is 1.33 inches or 33.8 millimeters. Let's see, the overall length, 8.9 inches or 22.5 centimeters. Your stop pin diameter was 135 thousandths of an inch or 3.44 millimeters. Behind the edge thickness, surprisingly, pretty thin for this saber ground narrow blade profile. And I got an average of 3 different spots of 20 thousandths of an inch or 0.52 millimeters. The handle to blade ratio, a very good 0.78. That is up in the upper range of very good. And your weight, a pretty lightweight 4.87 ounces or 138 grams. All right, guys. This model, let's say first, if you don't like orange, you have terrible taste. I think the orange is the best looking color, but I'm not going to hold it against you personally. You know, and not everybody has great taste like I do. So this is available in multiple colors. There's 2 different colors of green, and there is a brown, all of them with a black sort of G10 bolster look, and all of them very attractive. Material-wise on this knife, just like the remainder of this line, you're going to have D2 for the blade steel. D2 again, a World War II era tool steel. Widely available from multiple manufacturers around the world. D2 has a high carbon content of 1.5 to 1.6%, a fairly high chromium content of 11.5 to 12%, and it is a vanadium alloyed tool steel with a high level of vanadium at 0.9 to 1.1%. Now, what you get in D2 is good to very good wear resistance, and that's your edge retention. D2 takes a wicked sharp edge. It does hold that initial edge, the fine edge, for a fair amount of time, but the good thing about D2 is its working edge. Once you lose that initial razor edge, it will go to a toothy working edge, and it will hold that for a very long time. And that is a result of the high vanadium content, vanadium being a carbide former, and knives with a good amount of carbon and a good amount of vanadium tend to be long-wearing, very toothy and aggressive cutters. D2 has good toughness, which is impact resistance, resistance to cracking or chipping, and decent corrosion resistance. It is semi-stainless, again missing the stainless qualification by about 1 or 1.5% chromium. It will not rust easily like just plain carbon steels. It will stain or rust if you don't take care of it. If you use it around acidic food or salty environments, you'll need to keep some oil on it, but otherwise it's a very easy tool still to take care of. In your handle, what we've got is G10 scales over a thick stainless liner lock. Those scales are weight relieved on both sides, and that gives you your under 5 ounce of weight, which is very good in a stainless framed knife of this size. You've got satin finish stainless hardware, a black G10 backspacer, and then a polished stainless pocket clip. All right. The fit and finish on this knife is excellent, and I've had a few Bestech G10 folders come through my hands. I've reviewed a scimitar. I've handled one other swordfish, and then I got this swordfish. The fit and finish has been excellent on all of them. This knife is a standout as far as I'm concerned for their G10 line, because you get so much more of a complex handle design instead of a single slab of a single color of G10 like on the other models. You've got this sort of bolster look with 2 different sections of G10, 2 different colors. They are separate sections. They are not connected. You can actually loosen the pivot and loosen this screw right here, and you can move the bolster independent of this scale, and you could do the same thing vice versa if you just loosen the scale. So if you do have any gap in here, you can sort of adjust that just a little bit. Now in my particular example here, the fit and finish is very tight between those 2 sections on both sides. It is very tight, guys, very clean, and I want you to look. This knife is radially finished, and look at how the layering lines and the layering in the G10 line up between the orange and the black. That means that the radial finish is even between these 2 sections. Not only this sort of triangle detail, the fit there, but also the radial finish is very even between them. Very, very well done. The fit and finish is very good on the handle. The scales are flush to the liners. The liners are very well finished, guys. The backspacer, very well finished, also flush. There's a couple of things that I want to look at here. You can see that the inside edge of the liner here has a wide chamfer on it, and you come down right here, you can see they have ended this chamfer to go to a flat section to make a no gap fitting between the liners and the backspacer. You roll around the end here, you come out of that, and you can see here, you go instantly as soon as you come off of that backspacer, you've got that wide chamfer again. That makes that liner very comfortable, guys. It gives it a very quality feel in the hand. All right, we're going to go on to the blade, and continuing from that chamfer, we're going to go to this this flipper tab that they've done, where they've machined out the center. And not only does that look nice, it is a good looking detail on the knife, but look at how they have finished that cutout. That cutout is fully chamfered all the way around it. Very clean machining, guys. That makes that look like a piece of high-end machining. It's very well done, very well done, very well chamfered internally, externally. It is not, it doesn't have any jimping on it, but because of the sort of dished shape to the forward side of it, you really don't need any jimping. The grinds on the blade are even side to side, the primary grinds and the swedge grinds. It gives you a very even, very narrow edge grind that is consistent. I'm sorry guys, I'm losing focus here. Consistent from side to side. Very well done. Your primary grind and your swedge grind and the tip meet at an even spacing side to side. It does have a very pointy and usable tip. You can see it instantly with the barest amount of pressure. It catches and pierces. No issue there. It is a very piercy, stabby sort of blade profile. You've got a thumb ramp on the back side on the spine with some good jimping on it that is very well machined. It is effective jimping. It is not the most aggressive, but it is not rolled over slick jimping either. It is effective jimping. This blade profile fits in very much with the profile, the overall profile of the knife and the name Swordfish. When you hear Swordfish, the first thing that anybody thinks is a swordfish leaping out of the water. That very long, sharp, fast. I mean, just the shape of a swordfish is just very fast looking. And this knife carries the same look. It is named very well for the profile. This almost daggery, sort of light drop point type of blade profile with the sort of saber grind here. It's probably not going to be the sliciest knife, but will be a good slicer with just the 20 thousandths behind the edge thickness, which is very good for a saber ground blade in such a narrow blade profile. And the reason for that is they didn't get carried away with the blade stock thickness. You know, they kept it at 131 thousandths, 3.3 millimeter, and that is just perfect for this blade. You can see here you've got a fine but not too fine tip on it. I think that it is not only very functional, not only very well ground, but very beautiful. So fit and finish on this knife is so very good all together. All your small parts are finished well, and you've got the machine satin on all the screws and everything. You've got a lanyard hole here that goes through that back spacer, so it's basically a tubed lanyard hole, which I like. Your pocket clip is a basic stamped steel pocket clip with a polished finish. It is what I consider a single plane pocket clip, meaning that it has one single bend to go from its height back down to the plane of the handle, rather than coming up, going into a parallel flat, and then bending down. You've got plenty of height underneath the pocket clip for moderately thick pocket material, but if you have extremely thick pocket material, you might find it's a little tight of a finish. The tip up is just a single bend tip up. It does not flatten back out, and it's not too bad. It's not very high. It's comfortable in the grip. I don't think that it is disturbing my grip. I don't find it to be a hot spot in multiple grips. The pocket clip works very well. It's long, it's narrow, it fits the design of the knife. It is mounted with 2 Torx head screws in a recessed pocket, which you will not find on the other side, so this is not lefty friendly. The action on this knife is another standout. All I have done with this knife is I clean this knife, and then I put a couple of drops of oil on the pivot, and I'm going to tell you right now, I would put the action of this knife against any other flipper I've ever handled, and it is very comparable. the action closing, guys, look at this. It is hydraulically silky smooth, guys. I mean, it is just, it's wonderful. The action opening is crisp, and it does not have a super stout detent. Rather than a lot of flippers that use a very stout detent to store energy for a crisp flipper opening, this knife works more of a systematic approach. You have a good detent, but you have an excellent geometry between your pivot and your flipper tab. To the leverage point there, that geometry is perfect. It is very well designed. Combined with the decent detent, you get excellent push button action. You get excellent light switch action. The lockup on mine is fairly early. You can see it's about 30 to 40% maybe. There is no play in any direction on this at all. The centering on my example is spot on perfect. And again, the bearings on this, and let me mention, these are on ceramic bearings and ceramic detent, and they are silky smooth. You cannot feel the bearings roll at all. There is no sensation. The only sensation you feel is a hydraulic fluid type of sensation. The action is fantastic on this knife. All right, ergonomics. Let's knock out the blade first. You've got a very stabby blade profile, very narrow, a very pointy, sharp tip, but you also have plenty of belly. I mean, look at all this belly right here, guys, to work with. You've got a flat section right here. You do have this sharpening choil that is very well done. It does get out in front of the plunge grind, so you don't have a lot of flare at the termination of the edge here. So I'm going to say that even though this blade profile overall is a very stabby blade profile, the combination of the blade stock thickness, the really high saber grind, the thin behind the edge thickness, and then plenty of belly to work with, I believe, and in my use so far, this knife has proven to be a far better slicer than I would have thought from the get-go. I think anybody that buys this knife will be pleasantly surprised in that respect. Ergonomics in the handle. This is a wide open, long, uncomplicated handle design. You do have a functional choil area here combined with the flipper tab. Then you've got palm swell through the center of the handle here. A decent little bird's beak here. You don't feel like you're going to slide up on the blade under use. You don't feel like you're going to pull back off of the handle under use. The handle is very comfortable in multiple grips. In your forward grip, in a reverse grip, you've got the nice flat on the butt right here to use. Even in a draw grip, the flipper tab combined with the big, long, wide open center of the handle here, you've got plenty of space. The flipper tab is of such a shape that it does not intrude on the web in between your thumb and your first finger. It's very comfortable in that grip. I found it to be very comfortable and very neutral overall, guys. It will fit any hand shape or any hand size. Yes, it's a little long for those with small hands, but if you have a medium size hand up to large or extra large, you're going to find plenty of room there. It's not going to be restrictive to your hand size. And it's narrow, guys. It is a narrow grip, and it's not too thick. It's less than 6/10 of an inch. It's a very comfortable knife to hold. The closed profile, again, it's a fully nested blade within the handle. Your ultimate width is here at the pivot end. and that's between the ramp on the blade and the flipper tab, which is 1.33 inches. So very narrow overall. The pocket clip is fairly deep carry. You're going to end up with this much of the handle exposed, and that's just enough to grab a hold of to pull this out of your pocket, guys. Once you put it in your pocket, it goes against that outside corner of your pocket. It just disappears. You've got plenty of room to get your hand down in your pocket. If you carry anything else in that pocket besides your knife, say a minimalist wallet or keys or anything like that, you can get your hand in and out to get other stuff out of your pocket. All right, let's do a couple of quick comparisons to give you some size comparisons and profile comparisons here. And I'm just going to pull out two knives, and the first one is the standard in EDC carry, and that is the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. We're going to line those up. You can see that the Swordfish is longer in both blade length and in handle length, but has a much narrower profile overall. The next knife I'm going to bring out is of the same type of profile as the Swordfish, and that is my standard, the Zero Tolerance 0452 CF. And it is, let's see, we line the pivots up, it is about 1/8 of an inch longer in the handle and about 1/8 of an inch longer in blade length, with a blade length of 4.1 compared to the Swordfish at 3.9. Again, a very narrow profile, nice and long and narrow. You close it up, you get a fully nested blade. You can see right here, these two guys, they are brothers from another mother is what they are. Pretty much the same doggone type of knife. All right, guys, once again, let's bring this packaging in. We'll set this knife up right here and just close this review out. I have found that Bestech's G10 and D2 line, overall, from my experience with it, has been very high quality, very good fit and finish, good materials. The action on every one that I've touched has been very good. And I think they are an excellent value at their price point. Now, you're looking at $52 to $55 for these models from multiple different suppliers and retailers online. Now, I got this particular one from White Mountain Knives. They were recommended to me by Love Them Knives, and this is my first time dealing with them. I very much enjoyed dealing with them. I bought from their eBay store rather than their actual online store, but it's the same thing, same product, same price. I put in a request for them to just check the knife and make sure that everything was good before they sent it out, which I assume they did because everything on this knife is pretty much perfect. So I can recommend, from my first experience with White Mountain Knives, I can recommend these guys as a supplier. So, the Bestech G10 D2 line, I think, excellent value, excellent return for the cost. The fit and finish is absolutely awesome. And I'm going to tell you, this Swordfish is, to me, guys, is just the pinnacle of Bestech's G10 line. It's just such an exciting and such an attractive design that is backed up with a high level of utilitarian use. The action is fabulous, guys. I mean, the flipper action, the bearing feel, everything on this is comparable to any $200 bearing flipper that I've encountered myself. And so I'm going to recommend this knife. And as always, I thank you very much for taking the time to watch one of my videos. God bless all of you, and we will talk to you again.